Welcome back to the Bearded Garage. So I checked my car today. I went to go do the oil and I noticed the coolant was a little bit low. So I got underneath, and very often the petcock is got a problem, or it's leaking from there. But I'm starting to see, I wiped this off maybe 20 minutes, half hour ago, and I see it's leaking again. So I decided time to replace the radiator. So this job is going to be a radiator replacement. We're going to do most of it from up above. The only thing we're going to do from down here, it is up on the lift right now. I'm going to drain it, and then we'll come back and we'll take everything out from the top. All right, stay tuned. All right, so I went down to AutoZone. This Camry happens to start, I think it starts with a number, which the VIN starts with a number, meaning that it is an American-made car. Unfortunately, that means the radiator is about $100 more expensive than the Japanese made. So what I'm starting here is I'm just going to drain it. I've taken all of the two belly pans, plastic belly pans off the bottom. It's about 6 Phillips head screws. I don't need to show you that. And now I'm just going to open the petcock here, hopefully, and drain the radiator so I can work with it so I don't make a big mess. And here we go. We'll let that run.
My car is big.
Since the car's not hot, I'm going to open the top of the radiator, give it a little bit more air, so hopefully it'll drain quicker. All right, here's the radiator I'll be installing. So for this job, all I need is looks like a new radiator and 2 gallons. I chose to buy they had it on sale today, so I chose to buy the pre-mixed stuff, 50/50. So that's all we have. That's all we're going to need, I think. All right, now that all the fluid is drained out, I'm going to come up above here to the car itself. Put the cap back on the radiator here. All right, first thing we're going to do is remove the air box. In fact, this whole piece is radiator support, so I'm going to point out a few things quick. This is I don't know what you call it, a bumper maybe, but I think this sits on the top of the radiator, and if you see in the red here, it actually sits in the hole. So there's 2 of these on the top, 2 of these on the bottom. These are the 2 on the top. So we're going to be paying attention to those later when we put it back together. So we're going to start with 10 mil. Take this air box off, or the air box chute, or whatever the hell it's called. All right. Hard doing with just one hand. Put those up in there. It should come off pretty easy. It just slides off. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to disconnect this. This is the hose on the top of the radiator. We're just going to tuck it back into here somewhere, maybe even lock it right behind there. Next up is we're going to try removing this guy here. So pry this off. There we go. Gonna tuck this back up under here. Let's get it up out of our way, so it won't snap back and hit us in the face. The next step to getting this radiator out, we're actually going to take the fan out. So first thing we're going to do is start disconnecting the fan wires. So I think if you just push down on these, they should come right out. I'm going to wiggle them occasionally. So there's one here, and there is another here. So take those 2 out. And while you're at it, we're going to grab the overflow, radiator overflow, and disconnect this, pull it out of the way because this is going to get in the way. Plus, we'll have to disconnect it eventually anyway. All right, so these fan connectors, looks like you got to push up as close as possible, make them apart. All right, what I did bring out here was a dashboard trim tool, something like this. You'll see that we cannot keep these pieces here, so I'm gonna pop these out. Obviously, if you have the metal one, it probably works a little easier, but you can slowly pop all these out. The goal here is just to disconnect the wires from the fan itself, since we got to take it completely out of the car. All right, and then we make sure we got to do this one as well. Oh, we do not have to do that one, sorry. And then the last harness is here. Just disconnect that, hopefully. There we go. And you're gonna tuck that harness back out of the way. All right, next, to get the fan out, there's 3 of these. You actually just pinch these together, if you can see me doing that. Pinch these together and pull the fan out from around it. There's one down on the end, and there's one down on this end. All right, I push those 3 clips out on the fan. I'm going to attempt to pull this fan up and out of the way. Should just come up relatively easily. A little bit of snaking around some of the lines here, but trust me, she does come out. There is a radiator hose clip. It's not a clip, it just goes about halfway around the radiator hose that is clipped to the fan to hold it in place. So you have to reach down and undo that before you can pull it out. It should be the last piece, and it should come right out. No way that comes out of there. There we go. It does actually come out, and it comes out from the top. All right, so we can see I left the petcock open from where I drained it, just in case there's a little bit left in here. Let's close that off. All right, show you what I'm looking at. Okay. So the next thing we're gonna do is, this is what holds the radiator in. We got, I think, 6 bolts for it. There is one here, one here, one here, one here. That's 4, 5 here, and I think there's a 6th right there. So those are the 6, and then we're gonna have to be careful because as we start to pull it out, the horn is connected, and I think there's 2 connections. There's actually one right here, but I can't reach it yet. So we'll get that one. As we start to pull it out, we'll disconnect the horn. All right, next we're gonna take off this radiator support. Start with the ones on the outside. try the ones here. These are 10 mil. I forgot I have this ratcheting one here. Had to go get a longer, thinner wrench, but a longer one so it had more leverage. There we go. Be a little ugly because I don't have a ratcheting thin one, so take a minute. Don't worry, I'll fast forward. And there's one more. There's one more down here on the front of the latch. Same thing, 10 mil. All right. Got the last one out. Okay, so I'm going to pull up off of these stoppers here. From the clips. Same on this side, out from the stoppers, out around the clips. As it starts to come out, you see I mentioned the horn before. Disconnect the horn. I got another horn here, which actually can be done like this. All right, now this comes out relatively easy. We're just going to tuck it to the side because there's the cable that holds the latch, or cable for the latch. All right, now that the radiator is loose, in order to get it out, we're going to have to take off 4 bolts. There is one here, one there, one here, and one there. This is the condensing unit, so we'll have to separate these two, and then we'll just pull the radiator out. All right, here we go. Now I'm back underneath the car here. So here's a typical problem that I run into with old rusty cars. So I'm trying to disconnect these bottom brackets from the condensing unit I was showing you up above. The problem is the back of the radiator bracket is actually cracked, if you can see that plastic right there. So what happens is this nut just spins. So there's really nothing you can do from above. So I had to get on underneath, pull out my oscillating tool, and then carefully just saw that part off so I can get the radiator disconnected from the bracket. Radiator disconnected here. So, and unfortunately it happened on both sides. So I've got to do it on both sides. But who really cares? Because I'm chucking this radiator anyway, so I'm gonna throw it in the trash. I don't really care, but this is the kind of screwing around you gotta do. All right, we're back on the top. Now we can actually, hopefully, oh, can't take the radiator out yet. We have to undo this hose clamp. All right, now that we got that hose clamp off, should be able to pull this completely out. Hopefully. All right. All right, one of these things is not like the other. Yeah, those are transmission cooler lines on the bottom. So they told me that's what I needed when I gave him my VIN. However, I think they're just passive lines. Yeah, it's $50 or $60 more expensive radiator. But since they're just passive lines, they actually just go in, cool, and come back out. So if there's nothing connected to them, there shouldn't be any lines, there shouldn't be anything in them. So there shouldn't be any problems, just leaving it the way it is. Normally, I would go and replace it, but I called 5 local stores. None of them are open, or none of them are actually have it in stock. I have to drive 51 miles to get another one. And after doing the math on saving $50 or spending 2.5 hours in the car, I think my time's worth a little bit more than that. So the only thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to swap over the parts. If you can see, the new one does not come with a new radiator cap, so we'll start with that. All right, that's probably the easiest thing I've done out of everything today. The next is, we talked about these at the beginning. These are the whatever they are, the stoppers or whatever for the top. The top of this radiator, so we'll put those on. And then we'll do the same for the bottom. The only other thing I think we're gonna do today, or do now, is Petcock is closed. I'll swap out the bottom stoppers, and then I'll swap out this hose. Depending on how bad that is, maybe I'll just replace it with something else, the clamp. So other than that, I'm gonna put it in as it is. Here we go. She is ready to go back in, and I was right. That clamp blew apart into pieces when I tried to squeeze on it. So I'm gonna slide it back in, see what happens. All right, new radiator is slid into place. She's obviously not connected yet. We're gonna do everything in reverse order of what we did when we're taking it out. So I'm gonna connect that hose. I'm also going to screw the condenser in place. I went down, you saw the plastic shards on the old condenser tabs. I actually cut those off. Honestly, I used that oscillating tool, came off pretty easy. So I'll show you as I'm reassembling, but should be the reverse of what we did. All right, one thing I did not show on video, but I'll give you a tip on these grommets. There's a grommet on the bottom. You can see it right there, right there. So I had to push down on the radiator to make sure the grommets jumped into the holes. But once you get it in, it should be able to wobble back and forward and back, but it does not go left to right. So it's nice and solid in there now, so you know it's in the right spot. All right, got the condenser actually connected. All 4 bolts are connected. Next is the fan. So if you look at the fan on the bottom, there's these slots, right? They go onto the T's at the bottom of the radiator. One on the right, one on the left. All right, we're gonna slide this down in. Hopefully it'll be easier than when we took it out. Because I was doing most of the job with the car up on the lift, I can get underneath it and make sure these two T pieces engage. Looking good. All right, I haven't snapped the fan in place, but at least it's in there. So next step is brackets here, which I can't do with one hand. So slowly set this in. We talked about these grommets. Make sure the grommets are in on both sides, and you should be good. There are plastic tabs here you'll have to push out of the way to get everything in place. One on either side. Once you get around those, you should be able to set it in place and bolt this assembly in. Oh yeah, before you bolt it in, make sure that you connect both horns. You got a horn here and a horn here. As I'm starting to put the bolts back in, 1, 2, 3, 1 down here, 4, 5, and 6. I'm just putting them in loose, as you can see, because this one has to line up. So you want to make sure you get them lined up before you tighten them all down. It makes things quite a bit easier. Next, we're going to snap the radiator clips in. These here, these push clips. There's 3 of them. One here, one there, and one there. They are connected. Make sure you grab the radiator's fan wires and plug those in. The one down here. There you go, it clicks, that's good. Next is here. Doing it with one hand, obviously, I'm special. Thought I was special. There we go. Let's snap these back in there. And do the same all the way down. All these that we popped out. Make it easier to manipulate that. Should be another one there. Another one on the frame. I did the frame one because that was easier to get to swing the fan out, so that wasn't in the way. There we go. All right, so the fan is in. It's all wired up. We're gonna pull the radiator hose back. I think we're just gonna connect it right here. All right, then we'll grab the clip and push that back in. What else we gotta do? We got the overflow line. Connect that one here. Alright, so that looks good. Let's do this spring clip and maybe then fill her up. See what else we got. Take a look. Alright, last pieces we're putting back together. Looks like it's going to be this vent. One thing I do want to do, and I always do, is I like to spin the fans. Make sure they still spin. Because I can't tell you how many times I've run into that before. Put it back together and there's something caught in the fan and it burns out. So it's happened more than once. Alright, so take this fan box and push it on here and bolt her into place, snug her up, and then we'll be ready to fill it up. I think we're done. I'm going to fill up the radiator. I don't have one of those specialized radiator funnels, but it'll be fine. And then I'm going to start the car to make sure we got everything good and let it cycle through. Probably have to add a little bit more and play with it a little bit. Should be good, hopefully. Hopefully no leaks, no nothing. I'm going to show you one additional thing that's usually a good sign as I'm filling this up. Or that glugging right there. It's just like if you dumped a gallon of milk with no hole in the side. It means there's no air leaks in the system, telling me that it's probably all connected right. So you want to actually see those glug, 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 glugs. All right, that was a successful radiator job. It took, in the end, it took 1 gallon of coolant. Then I went out for a ride in the car, turned the heat on, let the car come up to temperature. When I got back, coolant was a little bit low, so I filled the reservoir all the way up to max. So it took about a gallon at the start, another half gallon afterwards. So it takes about 1.5 gallons, it looks like. All right, pretty simple. The car is running great, and I'm pretty happy with it. So thanks for tuning in. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks.